So, hello everyone. Welcome to this week's installment of ClueCon Weekly. This week with us we have Marcelo Terres from, he has a long experience in voice over IP and has worked at a multitude of companies and projects. So, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really an honor to participate from this. It's I watch lots of episodes, and it's really cool. I love it.
Would you like to start with a quick introduction about yourself?
Yeah. Okay. I came from a background, from open source background for since 2005, 2006, when I started to work with RTC, mainly with Asterisk. Lots of work with XMPP, and then we deploy in my former company in Brazil. Different scenarios of Asterisk in universities, different kinds of industry like the industry, in education like universities, retail, and all this stuff. And then about uh, a little bit 6 years ago, I decided to present something on the Astricon, talking about XMPP and VoIP, because I always love to integrate these different technologies, try to make something good for different stuff, different protocols. So it was a really good opportunity. And after that, I came to UK when I started to work on NTA. NTA is a host VoIP provider. We are a wholesale provider. So came from a completely different scenario. Came from Brazil when we didn't have really proper SIP trunks, and we use E1 links with boards and all the stuff, and then came here, just got in this crazy different market, but really good. And I'm here since then, working with them. Now I'm basically like a tech leader. I'm the most old person in the company, and a senior VoIP engineer. So we are always trying to develop new stuff, and on different bases. So it's really cool. I really love to work on this. And of course, a few years ago, with the advent of WebRTC, it's something that we are also in the middle of that. And it's really cool. I got really excited with stuff. So yeah, really nice.
Nice. Cool. So, yeah, it sounds like you've been doing a lot of voice over IP over the years and a lot of RTC. So, before we go into the VoIP aspect, which is interesting, I'm also, I will say former, but I've used a lot of XMPP for years. We have a Ruby framework used to build telephony apps that's called Addition, that's entirely based on on using XMPP to control phone calls. So you have a long experience with that, right?
Yeah. I start just installing new servers in different customers, federated servers with our company. It was something that's really nice on time. 15 years ago, we have WhatsApp. We basically have MSN messengers, maybe ICQ and AOL Messenger. We always, in my former company, always try to integrate XMPP with Asterisk and different stuff. So, for example, we are working basically the whole day on a MOOC, on a multi-user chat room, and we got the caller ID from the calls that comes from our customers. They call through the AVR, identify themselves, and we just been popping up with the customer identification before the call starts to ring. So we always try to make the most of this kind of integration, and it was really cool. I used a lot of the OpenFire server before it was called the Wildfire. So the guys from
Oh,
Nimbus
wow. Yeah.
and the Ignite real time. I create a mailing list from on Brazil. We have at some point more than 1,000 users. It was really nice, but like I said, it was a different time. And we run in Brazil the International Free Software Forum for 2000 to 2015, I guess. So and I was part of the program team. It was in the south of Brazil. We had got lots of people from different backgrounds, from Postfix, guys from Apache, Java, Mozilla. Everybody we tried to bring to Brazil. It was really nice. And we got the guys from OpenFire at some point. Gus was a leader of the project. So it was a really exciting time, different time, but it was, the open source was like free software with Richard Stallman and all the stuff, and open source with Ozzy. It was really nice. It's just like I told you, I got involved with XSF for 1 year or two, participate one of the meetings here before the FOSDEM. But since I came to UK, everything changed in my life. Just came to really work on VoIP. And then my wife got pregnant. Now I have a small kid with 3 years. So life changed, and I got a little bit to back away from XMPP. But now we are working with that again, and I'm revisiting the stuff on the past. I start to get some ideas, but I'm not sure if it's already a good idea now. Times
Yeah,
are different.
life changed. And before we go back to XMPP, you mentioned FOSDEM. Have you been at FOSDEM before? I think so, right?
Yeah, I came to FOSDEM in 2017. Then 19, 19 when we got when the COVID started. 20, now 17 and
Last
18.
one, last one was 18. They didn't have.
Yeah,
Well,
I
last one
didn't
was
went to
9.
19 because exactly because the COVID was getting crazy, and
Mhm.
I just got a little bit. It was really nice. I really loved to go there. The dev room was really cool. Now they have a main track, so RTC has a main track of the on FOSDEM, which I think that should be happened before, because RTC is it's something that we can run away anymore. So everybody wants that. So FOSDEM, it's a really great place to have good talks, meet the community, meet the developers, have a good beers. It's a really nice place to be.
Yeah, it was. I hope it comes back because together with ClueCon, which well, ClueCon was organized by Frizzwich before. Now it's sponsored by SignalWire. It's still organized by Frizzwich. FOSDEM was actually my favorite conference. Not much because of the technical content. So you could have some very good talks at FOSDEM too, but it was it was just 5,000. Yeah, it's gotten up to 5,000 people just sitting in the same place. Everybody in Brussels, you'd see people with laptops lying around, just working on slides or projects or
Yeah.
whatever. It's something special. It's not on this year, right? Still virtual.
It's still virtual, yeah. It's still virtual. It's a shame, but the Omicron is just a nightmare, especially. Fasting has a different, it's not like a normal conference. It's not like say ClueCon, or not like Astricon. It's much more relaxed. It's much more. It's different. I
It's
never went to ClueCon. Didn't have the opportunity yet. It was something that I was playing in the past, but like I told you, everything changed. Now with this crazy stuff, I don't know when I'll be able to go to
If
conferences
you
in
come
Europe.
this year, we will try and have it in person. If not, as we discussed this with many guests on the podcast, and I think, and I'd like your opinion too. I think conferences are going to stay hybrid. Like it's not conferences are never going back to full in person, no streaming, no remote.
No. It's a little bit of a shame, but
Well,
maybe in
it's
some
good.
point in a couple of years we could have more people together and have this, because it's really nice to have the chat, go to the pubs in Brussels or to the dinner, the
Yeah,
arts dinner, and talk with the guys. It's a different feeling.
let's put
It's
it this way: if you could attend the conference in person, it's better. But
yeah.
the virtual conference attendances actually made me personally participate into more conferences last year than usual
Oh
because
no.
you can't go. So you say, well, you know what? I'm gonna buy the 200 virtual ticket and see this talk. I see Marcel talk because I want to hear
Yeah.
Marcelo. Then you look at the list of speakers. There's another one that you're interested in. So you've seen a few talks you otherwise wouldn't have. So it's still
Yeah.
value. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's still
it's all
cool.
there's all this huge cost for you to participate in all these meetings. Usually, let's talk, for example, from ConCon here in UK, organized by
Yeah.
Don Jenkins. Really nice. It of course that's a different type of conference. Uh, he ran two online conference for the last 2 years. Really nice talks. But it was good to be in the hotel with the guys and have
Oh
this
yeah,
discussion
yeah,
after
yeah.
hours. So, but yeah, we need to adapt.
I somehow never managed to go because I always had something else going on family wise at that period. Someone getting married one time, a daughter being born another. So it was really one
I
time.
just have I was lucky that my boss was really involved with that. We are
When
working
it comes
with the
back,
team.
I'm certainly gonna go. Cool. So going
Yeah,
back to XMPP, it feels like to me as an XMPP user participant, I wrote an extension, I did a few things. Feels like to me that XMPP has lost a little bit of ground recently. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem with XMPP is that they have a really good standard. They are working a lot. I see that they continue to develop these extensions, the XMPs, right? So lots of stuff is happening. But if you have this background, but you don't have people adopting it in the clients or the server, so you develop a really nice and amazing XCP, but nobody implements it. It makes things harder. So I think that's I don't know how this could be. How could they make people get more interested in doing this kind of stuff? And of course, if a few years ago we got this new protocol matrix that is looks
Yeah.
like it tries to compete a little bit with the XMPP. Um, I implement one of the first servers. I think that was the first guy running the home servers at Brazil. I talked with Matthew here, and he told, "Oh, I think that we don't have anyone running here," but it was really, really in the beginning, and now everybody's using that, and I don't have knowledge to compare. I think that's not even fair to compare but in some point they compete for the same market, and I saw lots of people using it. Fosden is using Matrix for different stuff. Then Jenkins is using that a lot. So it's I think that's one of the issues, right? But like
Yeah.
what we are talking in the past, before we start to record this talk is that I feel a little bit, but business are business, but I feel a little bit betrayed by Google and Facebook because they started the Facebook Messenger and the Google. I think that was Google Hangout in the time because it changed the name every time. Using XMPP, it was really, really nice. I could use from my paging in that moment. We have different uh, clients and different accounts and different providers. And it was really cool that you could federate and talk. But I understand the point. It's business. They just want to do what's better for them. Even WhatsApp started with some kind of customized version of XMPP in the beginning. So it has its time. It's just a shame that people are not adopting anymore.
Yeah, I feel like XMPP had a great position as the federation backbone as opposed to maybe the actual chat protocol. So what I was hoping will happen is that Telegram will have an XMPP bridge. So you could, I'm saying Telegram to, one. Signal Wire will, well, I think it's actually out there already. We have a chat solution that's based on WebSockets, usual stuff,
Mhm.
real push notifications, etc. But we could easily build a bridge into XMPP from there. So your same presence could work on both sides. I feel like there's been some kind of a fragmentation, and I think
Yeah.
WhatsApp is the main problem. WhatsApp is what caused the fragmentation.
Yeah, I agree with you. WhatsApp came to disrupt this market of instant messaging. I think that people are using that for business and stuff. So it's a completely different scenario right now. We are implementing my current at NTA. We are using XMPP for the chat. It was a technical decision, and that's where I came with maybe some ideas of how we could make people control their own extensions from chat with a bot or a chat bot or something like that. I need to think if people are still willing for doing that, and if it's better than just clicking a button or something like that. That's some ideas that I was having these days when I start to revisit all this stuff for our talk now. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. And it's a little bit of shame that I got to step back. I remember that I was at Fosden and I was talking with Gus and Dave from the Open Fire project, and they asked me to step up and pick up and update the Asterisk
Mm.
IAM plugin for OpenFire. I told them that I'm going to do that. I started to do that, but then, like I told you, everything changed, and I had to. Okay, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Life came and just changed everything. But yeah, I miss this a little bit of participate more from the open source or being more active on the open source community. Sometimes it's just hard. We need to define what's the
Mm.
priorities and
For sure. So, regarding the well, you mentioned Asterisk, and well, we generally try to talk a lot about voice over IP, etc. So, first of all, have you ever used FreeSwitch? And aside from that, what are your go-to packages and softwares when working with VoIP? Just curious what your stack is generally.
No, really, I never had. I have uh, a really I have a little bit of a contact with a free switch, but I never use it on a daily basis. I know that people really like it. I'm gonna tell you for an experience that we when I still in Brazil years ago. There was a company, a big company from the northeast of Brazil that it works with call centers, and they moved from Asterisk in that moment of time from free switch because free switch was much more uh, that's much more scalability for them when that kind of scenario. But no, I never really work with that because I started to work with Asterisk on version 1.2, so it's really old, and came to now to 16. I'm doing some stuff on the latest versions for some proof of concepts to integrate for our current system. But no, we usually don't work with packets. I prefer to go direct to the source code. It's sometimes a little bit of a decision uh, I think that gives us more flexibility on which kind of modules and stuff we want to apply. And currently, to be really honest, in our current situation, we have some particular modifications that we made to the SIP stack to add a few events that are not available on the AMI on that time. I know that stuff evolved with time, but sometimes you keep some stuff that you keep some legacy that you need to continue to work on. So now we have a stable stack, and I'm working on new stuff on a new stack that I'm just going to plug on this because we have this main voice solution, right? So everything works there, normal stuff like hunt groups, queues, and all the stuff. And then what I was looking last year was translation and TTS and STT using, of course, Asterisk, the latest versions of Asterisk and ARI because
Mhm.
they're evolving a lot. So I was playing a little bit like you have a number, you speak in English, I speak in Portuguese. So, okay, you have a number, you call that number, you are going to speak in English, and I'm going to listen in Portuguese. And when I speak in Portuguese, you're going to listen in English. And I'm trying to do that on a multi-conference. Yeah, it's nice, but basically source code, no packets right now.
That's yeah. I mean, what about your favorite softwares? Like from what I gather, your main voice over IP server is Asterisk. What are you Are you using anything as an SBC, OpenSips, Camilio?
Yeah, we
Uh,
use Chameleon. Yeah, we use
use
Chameleon.
Camilio.
That's in our level. We need to have someone to at least to dispatch the calls and stuff like that. So we use Chameleon. We use Dractio for the WebRTC.
Oh, that's interesting. I've been looking at Draxio for a while, and I never
Really good.
got to play with it.
No,
How's
really good.
What's your
Really good.
impression?
And no, it's really good. It's really nice because you have a really good relation with Dave Horton, and he works for us to fix some stuff. So really interesting that these days we had some kind of memory leak that was coming from office, and Dave knows about that with different customers complaining. And then he came to, okay, we finally fixed that, let's take a look. We start to test, then we start test, okay, it's fine. And then we start try to put some kind of redundancy, and we decide to do that with proxy, okay, because you can just put the AGS proxy in front of that, and we put the AGS proxy, and my colleague was working with them, and just, okay, we start to have a memory, really terrible memory leak. And it was something related to that, and then Dave just fixed. So we work with Dave on a daily basis. In fact, he's working for us now. We found another issue with the memory, but Dave is really responsible for that kind of stuff. And he has lots of different customers, even here in UK, different companies that we are working with. He's also working with them. So I think that Dracto is a really good solution, and especially because maybe people say, okay, have Node.js in the middle, I don't like it, but it gives you the ability to do different stuff that you you are not be able to do. For example, with Camelio, will be when you make this first decision. We are working with Dan Jenkins. Dan Jenkins was the guy that started to work on this for us, and he came. Okay, we can go with Camelio, RTP engine. We can go with Dractio. What you want to do? Camelio, okay, I can do that. Dractio, I'm working a lot for that. So let's go to Dractio, and I don't regret. I think that's really good. It's really stable, really nice.
So
Issues,
I'll
but
ask you. I'll ask you a question, an honest question, since you've been working with Dractio. I need to write a quick controllable SIP client for some testing I need to do in the next few days. Do you think I could? Is Dractio usable as a replacement for, I don't know, PJSUA, that kind of stuff? Maybe a little bit more user friendly. So have it make calls.
yeah, we are using Dractio just for now, just to make. Yeah, we are using Dractio in front of our Camelio, so we are using Dractio just to give us the encryption, because we coming. So I can tell you that if it's going to work like we're expecting for that solution. So now what our stack is Camelio, Dractio, and RTP engine. We have our server that talk with them, and then just register. In fact, it registers on Camelio through the Dractio, and then the Dractio just handle all this encryption and stuff like that for the WebRTC stack. So no, I don't have enough knowledge to tell you that. Sorry. But
Well, I'll go take a look.
I think that you should try, because even if you need, I think that Dave is really a really nice guy. I really like him, and you could just talk with him and ask him what he thinks. And I'm pretty sure that you're gonna really be happy to help you guys with that, because he was developing a really nice GenBonds, really nice cloud provider as a service that he was doing by himself. It's really nice, and he was using Dractio on the top of that. So I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I generally just use FreeSwitch to do everything, including place phone calls, etc. Because I
Yeah,
live
of
in
course.
FreeSwitch land, but I wanted to build something that just does a single SIP invite and negotiates an SDP where the ports are actually for a different app that received the RTP. So well, I'm gonna try.
I think that you can do that. I think that you can do that. Of course, there's no reason that I can see that you'll not be able to do that. Like I
Cool.
told
Well, I'm gonna try later.
and it's really nice. And you can do anything you want on this middleware that you can put in the middle. For example, let's give you an example. We have a situation where we are making calls on the WebRTC, and we have some phones that has video support, and we got to a point that something was failing when we are using the WebRTC on the mobile when it comes from these phones. And in the end, we noticed that was related to the video codecs that wasn't being recognized, and you came in our stack using the Dractio and removed the video from the STP using our solution, that our server that's talk with Dractio directly and doing this kind of stuff. So it's pretty powerful. It's really good. Having Node on the middle of that is just give you all these different libraries that you can use for different stuff. So you should try, and you can tell me later. But
I'll definitely try it later.
yeah.
Well, yeah. One last thing. What are you? So you're a systems engineer. You're a telecoms engineer, but I think you do also quite a bit of development. What are your favorite programming languages? Just curious. I always ask if I know it's. I'm a
You
Ruby,
know,
full disclosure.
I'm working a lot with Node.js, but you know what I was studying these days? Rust, and I thought that Rust is really really nice. I would like to have more time when I was going to the office, because I now work remote. But when I was going to the office, especially in the summer, I was coming home, walking, and it gives, I guess, 45 minutes, and I was listening to some courses and learning something about Rust on the Udemy, and I got really excited with the language. And I think that if I have some spare time, I will try to look on that. But for now, Node.js is my main language nowadays with all the stuff.
Yeah, quite a bit of people
And
have.
JavaScript, in fact, right? But using Node.
Yeah, we all had to learn some Node.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
love it.
Rubyist, and I've been using Ruby for the longest time and for almost everything. But I do see the value in JavaScript. Besides, people are using that, so whatever. I'm not a
Yeah.
super fan, but
I had a friend that was really work a lot with Ruby, and he really loved it in Brazil. Now he's just
oh
working
yeah,
with
it's
Ruby.
there
But
is a
it's
large Ruby community in
yeah,
Brazil.
it's like Ruby on Rails. It was
Yeah.
something that they are using a lot on that moment in time. But what I'd say, and it's a language that was here for so many years. It's evolving a lot, so it's good because it's progressing. It's not something that came. But yeah, I never got really familiar with that. I look on that in the beginning. I did as a test for my former job, something that I had to develop in Ruby, 2005, really old. But after that, it was just a test. I never have to touch it again. Start work with Python at that moment in time, and now I'm just a JavaScript Node.js guy. Maybe
Yeah,
Rust
well,
in the future.
we all ended up doing some Node. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I really want to look into Rust too. It's lack of time, but you're probably the fourth or fifth person on the podcast that mentions Rust as being a very good language, very good environment, which leads me to think, as a side note, that Golang from Google had a good run as the darling of the tech community,
yeah.
but I haven't heard from Go in a while. Rust probably took over the Go bandwidth.
Yeah, it looks like that people is much more excited with Rust like they are doing with Go, but it's something that I could see in the last year from or a couple of years, I don't know. So I decided to take a look, and yeah, I got pretty excited. Looks really good. This idea of having Rust on the Linux kernel, something that could be a game changer, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah,
Rust is a compiled, statically typed language, right? It's
yeah, and
similar to C family, I will guess.
it's a
Better
C.
C.
It's a C with memory control, and you don't have these memory leaks that you have with C, which is just great. It's just that makes
So
a whole
it's
difference
memory
because
managed.
it's yeah, it's
Oh,
really
nice.
nice what they try to do with memory on Rust to avoid you have this crazy C errors with memory that just make everything break. So that's where I get really excited because it's like low level with a really good memory management, memory control. I don't know how to say that, but not sure if the right word, but yeah, it works and doesn't let you do stuff that could break everything because of the memory because you are not allowed to break it, and that's what they do. They block. They don't allow you to run code that could lead to memory issues or memory allocation. So it's really good.
Well, that's super interesting. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that. So, since you've been working on Asterisk for a while, last question: what's the current state of Asterisk as you see it? Are you happy with how development is going? Asterisk has been through a few changes recently. Latest versions seem to be very good, honestly. So I'm just curious because I haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, I think that Asterisk got on a point that's it's really stable. I have I have to confess that when it moves from Digium to Sangoma, it got me a little bit concerned. But I think the whole community got this. Now I notice that it doesn't look like it changed a lot. I trust in the code. I trust in the developers, Joshua and all these other guys.
Oh
They are
yeah,
really
right.
good. And yeah, I think that they're evolving really nice. I think that ARI is evolving really nice. Looks like they're a little bit. In the past, they are doing lots of stuff in each release. Now they are doing a little bit. They're a little bit slower, but at the same time, you need to be stable. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really good. I think that reach a point that is really good. I would like
I
to take a
think.
look on the same from Free Switch if I have some time because
Well,
I
come
always get
play with
curious.
Frizzwich. Come play
Yeah,
with
it's
Frizzwich.
just
It's always
it's just
happy
finding
to.
time. It's just finding time, but yeah,
I would
it's
say.
just the stuff that always got on me. I started with the company; they use that. When I came to this
Oh
company,
yeah,
they are
for
using that.
sure. Yeah,
So
that's it's a
not.
case. So, but if you have time, come play with Frizzwich. I'd be happy to
Yeah.
look around with you. That
Okay.
said, Asterisk looks like it's reached a very good maturity level. Like
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
a standard server for people who have been using the Asterisk forever. It's where the transition wasn't too bad. People were concerned when we transitioned to SignalWire, from Frizzwich, etc. But I think at the same thing happened. Like we just showed that the company's committed to it. We have people full
Yeah,
time working on FreeSwitch. We actually done more releases with more bug fixes, because now there is someone that's paying for the development, and that helps. I mean, that has to be
exactly.
said. If you have a corporate sponsor and it's a good corporate, it's run well, open source projects benefit from it.
Yeah,
Other
exactly.
projects, not so much. You may know about the Elasticsearch issue we had a few months ago, where Elasticsearch, the search engine, the
Yeah.
company just made it closed source. Done. No explanations, no alternatives. We just made closed source. From one day to another, you had to pay for it to work, and it just got forked by Amazon, who have a working stable open source fork, and
I
people
heard about
never.
it.
So that's if you go too hard, then open source will react, right? It's okay. Now Amazon has a fork of Elastic that works perfectly, and no, so we don't need you anymore.
I,
Great.
I heard
That's
about that situation with Amazon, but I didn't know what the reason. So now makes sense. But yeah, talking about companies and open source, we have this maybe bad example that came from the CentOS, right? With Red
oh
Hat.
wow, yeah,
It
and
was really bad.
Elastics.
Now I'm moving to Rock Linux. Really, really, they have a script that migrates really quick and fine. So that's a really bad example. But usually and I got a little bit of concern because you have a really good other projects under the Red Hat umbrella, like
Mm.
Ansible and Gluster and all this stuff. So sometimes I got a little bit concerned if something like that could happen. But I don't think so, because I think that at the same time this could be a problem for their own system. So, but
Yeah,
I
plus forking a Linux distribution is complicated, but forking Ansible is totally possible. Like if a team of committed people forks
yeah,
Ansible, they can just run it themselves, so it's not
yeah,
really doable.
yeah,
Another
no,
fiasco
exactly.
like that in the voice over IP, do you remember when Elastics was was made closed source? That was quite a. I was still a consultant at the time, and it was quite a complicated thing because we were running installs using Ansible of all things, pulling down the distribution. And one day we automated script tries to create a server and nothing happens because it's being made closed source, and that version is simply not existing anymore. That was yeah. If you so there's this dichotomy where it's hard to make an open source project survive because you don't make money on it, and companies never
Yeah.
really help. But on the other hand, if you go too strict, then people will stop using your stuff. So it's a fine balance for sure.
Yeah, I remember that Elastics, they came now with the Isabel, right? That was some kind of fork. Yeah, I remember that situation, man. And
And
that stuff with the open source looks like, I was talking with my friends and my colleagues today, a little bit of concerning of what's happening in this open source scenario, especially what after that guy from the Faker node package and
oh wow,
all
yeah, that
making
was
that really crazy stuff of breaking the just broke the completely package. And now I saw another guy from another Apache project that was used for the industry, also saying that I'm gonna not support anymore because people are making 20 million euros from my software and nobody wants to fund the project, which I think that is fair. People should, especially big companies, should help to fund or get some kind of budget. I was thinking of how we can do that now. It's got sometimes you just take for granted, and it's not right if you think about that. So, but it's really tricky.
I think something that hasn't emerged in the open source world is I've never seen something like crowdfunding being done. Like my idea is that if you can't get Amazon to give you $1 million, which is fine, you should be able to get 1 million people to give you $1.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Like
something I think we're too busy developing.
yeah, but they create that stuff on GitHub and nobody really. Of course, there are people that contribute, but not that much. It's GitHub donors, GitHub fund. I don't
Yeah.
remember the name, but they could run some stuff like Wikimedia. Wikipedia always ask me once a week for some money. I always like to donate because it's nice. I use a lot.
Yeah, I donate yearly.
So
I
yeah,
donate yearly because I look at it
yeah,
very, very often for sure.
yeah. It's really really helpful. So, but I think that even like that, the trickiest part, and that's what you're discussing. If you just pick up, like I say, I have this monthly budget to donate. Okay. Uh, but who will be the projects that you will receive that money? We use a lot of Asterisk, we use a lot of Camellio and Tractor and all stuff. But at the same point, we use a lot of small projects like this Faker. I use this Faker for some demo stuff on one of our dashboards that we develop. And so, how much money I should give to everybody on, or which are the projects that are going to benefit from this budget? So really tricky, right? Really tricky.
Yes. Well, I guess the best thing we can do is keep working, keep coding. If you have something if anybody in the audience has anything to contribute to an open source project, please try to make at least a pull request or whatever. Doesn't matter if it's not great, doesn't matter if it barely doesn't work. There's capable people that will help you getting into shape, but don't stay back, like just try. And it's a great way to learn. And I would say that many of us that are in the industry for that have been in the industry for a while started like that. My entire career in voice over AP started from me being a web developer making one patch to a Ruby telephony framework. That's how I met the people I ran a company with for years, and now the people I'm working with at SignalWire. Everything started from me needing. So this is how it started. The Ruby framework only parsed American phone numbers, like it was expecting +1, and I
Okay.
needed it to support international numbers, like Italian numbers. So I made a small patch that will allow you to set the country you were running the application for. And that's where everything started. So just do that. It wasn't great. And to be fair, I'm saying this in all honesty, I don't think that patch ever got merged. I think the actual maintainers wrote a better one. But still, it's how it got started, right? So the guy said, well, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's fix this. Your code isn't great, but it's fine. You tried and you were helping. So people just go do that. It's great and helps you and gets you in places you will not have gotten to otherwise.
Yeah, it's true. Agree with you. If you can contribute, and especially because depending of which kind of stuff or which kind of industry you are, you just got in touch with these really great minds, like the arts minds, and for example, in our case, and it's really nice to talk with them, and it just you learn everything, and it's really good. It's you should contribute as much as you can, and I try to do that, but sometimes, like I said, it's we just need to sometimes make more efforts.
Yeah, you need to try.
I
That's
miss,
how it is.
yeah, I miss that time. I try to revive this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Well, Marcelo, thank you so much for joining us today. We're getting to a close. For the audience, thank you so much for being with us today, but especially Marcelo, thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye, guys.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Marcelo Terres from Nationwide Telephone Assistant joined us today. We went through a lot of things about open source and we had a lot of fun. Contribute to projects, help us help you. And for the rest of the people, see you next week. Thank you.